Shabbat Shalom, L'chaim L'chaim. This week's Torah portion is Shlach. It has a famous episode of the sin of the spies, where Moshe sends out 12 emissaries, or 12 scouts, to go and scout out the land of Israel, and to see how we can conquer it. And these spies come back, and 10 of them have a very disparaging report, saying that the land is filled with giants, that they have fortified cities that we can't conquer, and they cause all of Klal Yisrael to fear and to panic that we're going to get decimated. And it seems like we're going through very similar times now. I know many people have seen, information circulating in the media, but we're going up against Iran, and it seems like we're facing a giant, the head of the snake. And so it's very comforting for many of us to see that we're going through a similar time, that the Torah is aligned with what we're seeing today. But I was supposed to speak at Shul this week and give a little shir, a little drasha, and I wanted to focus on the sin of the spies. Specifically, I wanted to talk about the crisis that they faced. Many have noted, and it's certainly written down in Chabad literature, that the spies went into Israel and they didn't want the Jews to now go into this land. Why not? When we were in the desert, we were Hashem's chosen people. We received manna every day. We saw miracles. We received the Torah. Hashem was so open and revealed to us in the desert. Why would we now go into Israel where we're going to have to work and we're going to have to provide for ourselves and we're going to have to do so much more in order to receive the same bracha, and we're not going to see Hashem even as much. He won't be as clear to us. And so one opinion says that the spies came back and they said, we shouldn't go. We shouldn't go into Israel. It's not going to be good for us. We won't have Hashem so clearly. And they faced an identity crisis. And I think that this crisis is something that we've all felt before. We had a part of our identity that we thought, was our whole identity. I know I had this, where I thought I was a runner. I was Tal the runner. And then all of a sudden an accident happens and you're no longer that thing, you're no longer that identity, and you're forced to question, who are you? And so the Jews were questioning. We thought we were the chosen people. And so now you're telling us to go here and we're not the chosen people? We have to work, we won't see you? And so we all go through this identity crisis. And I think that for me, the most important message that all of us need to hear during this time right now is that we're facing a similar identity crisis. That throughout the world, we hear information from October 7th to what's happening today, and Jews around the world start to rally and say, oh yeah, we're Jewish, we're strong, we're proud. But as time goes on, so that fades away to the back. History continues to be written in the books, and we continue to move forward. And I think for me, the most important message is not to forget who we are. And I was going to go into the zodiacs as a nice little example of this. For those that don't know, there are many, many parallels. It says that Avram Avinu sent gifts with the children of his concubines to the east. And many of these gifts you can attribute today to, Eastern mysticism, and spirituality. And so I looked at the zodiacs and thought there's so much parallels here. Specifically with this week's Torah portion, we send 12 spies who also have the 12 zodiacs, which are based on the constellations in the Western zodiac. There's also a 12-year cycle in the Chinese zodiac with 12 different animals. And what do they use this for? It's all used for personalities, to explain to people where your strengths are, where your weaknesses are, who you will match with, who you're most compatible with. It's all to do with your identity and your personality. And so I think that on this note, where we're looking at personality, it's always important to remember that Ein Mazel le'Israel, that Jews are above Mazel, that we go above the stars. We don't look to the stars to tell us our destiny. We go above the stars and we set our own destiny. And so I think for me, my final message, with this whole drasha, is that back in the day, we used to feel like we're coming to the land of Israel and we're losing our identity. But in reality, what we see today is that the Jews of Israel are most secure in their identity. We're the strongest in being Jews. Even Bibi had a report today, or had an interview, where he said we can't do any of this without B'siyata Dishmaya, without Hashem's help. But I find that the Jews chutz la'aretz, who are not so involved in the war, who are not here receiving the sirens or receiving the rockets, it's hardest for them to connect to their identity. So for all those who are listening, whether you're in Israel or whether you're not in Israel, now's the time. Now's the time to connect to your true Jewish identity, your identity that is eternal. So that core part of your soul that will never fade no matter what happens. And B'ezrat Hashem, through connecting to our soul, through starting to fulfill Torah mitzvot, we'll merit to see and really experience the true redemption, the resurrection of the dead, and please God, the revelation of Mashiach. Shabbat Shalom.